Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing marvelously well. It is time to turn this up slightly. Hope you're all doing stupendously healthy and happy, and you're all safe. This is all rather fun. This was very impromptu. So, why you're probably all saying, why didn't we know about this? Well, because, we just decided to do this. I am very quiet. Do I sound quiet over there? I do sound quiet. Okay, I'm bringing it up a little bit. Coming up. How is that? I think that's going to be okay. I don't want to blow everybody's heads off because they're going to turn up my vocal and then before you know it. Okay, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. Let's try and get it here a little bit more. Maybe a bit more compression on the way in. Is that better? Does that sound too loud? Eric, let me know. Is this good? Da-dee-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Okay, I think if it's just loud enough, it's a little crunchy, but if it's just loud enough, it means that when we play the track, it won't blow your heads off because you'll be turning me up. How are you all? Who's there? Svend, Alexei, Darko, Blue Way Dave, Jürgen, Clint, Chris, David, Alex, Anita, Perty, I hope I'm getting everybody's names right. And I feel good. Fernandino. Or Ferdinando, is that right? Ferdinando? Or was it? I think that's right. Ferdinando. Hey, Ferdinando. What a great name. Dave and David and Jonas, who was going to make me more tube compression. Yes, it's a little, we're not using anything fancy here because it's all completely in the box. We're mixing this totally in the box. So we're keeping it here. So, yeah, sorry for the short notice. Ferdinando, yeah. Okay, Ferdinando. Didn't mess it up. Did the first time. Aaron, hey there. Beat Poet Music. Clint. Hey, Ryan. Thank you for putting your names if you've got a different handle. That's really nice to actually know who we're talking to. I've got I've got a different computer up here. So when you'll see me looking down here, it's because I'm like reading the comments and all that kind of good stuff. All the Daves are here, says Dave Merkel. Joe Edwards. Feeling good? Excellent. This is rather wonderful. Todd, how are you? So, as usual, I'm adjusting my microphone. Got to figure out how to have it. There's this fancy desk which you can't see. It's one of those, live, work, standing, whatever you call them things. I actually find it really annoying. I just want to be here, and it's like done, so it's here, and I can't play the guitar. All the ergonomically really cool, well-designed, well-thought-out stuff doesn't seem to work for me. What does that mean? I don't know. Okay, this should be good. There we go. We got the SM7 up here. Hopefully it sounds okay because can you smell that? And it's like Willy Wonka, through the TV. Can you smell this? It's like, it's pretty awful. We just cleaned it with all kinds of cleaning fluids and stuff like that. So hopefully it'll be clean enough anyway, if nothing else. Okie dokie. Well, let's get back. I haven't listened to the song. I don't even know how long it's going to play back, how loud it's going to play back. Did you test it, Eric?
I did, but in comparison with your vocal right now, I don't know if it's going to be...
Too loud, too quiet. All right, let's just find out. Make sure nothing else is playing. Here we go. We haven't done anything since the last time we did it, so let's have a listen. Dave says, can you choose not to smell? Yes, you definitely can. Hey, Scott Carter. How are you? Here we go.
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? Down the road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. cross the line when it gets blurred. Why can't we, if God forgave us? A fight's a fire, we both feel burned. We'll drop bombs all day and night to show who's in the wrong and who's in the right. Who's in the wrong and who's in the right? Empty looks on empty faces, with something stolen from my soul, seeking gold in foreign places, never failed to sup its store. Once again we raise our voices, give us what we're looking for. The world's a product of our choices. Will we choose to stop this war? We'll drop bombs all day and night to show who's in the wrong and who's in the right. Who's in the wrong and who's in the right? We'll drop bombs all day and night until the other one's down and out of sight. It seems we can't move on without a fight. Singing now, who's in the wrong, yeah, who's in the right? Who's in the wrong, yeah, who's in the right? Who's in the wrong, yeah, who's in the right? Who's in the wrong, yeah, who's in the right?
Fantastic. I'm happy with that in many, many ways. So no effects on the vocals. So we need to do that. Lead vocal. It sounds like perfect sometimes, or nearly perfect for me. It sort of fits in the mix nicely. And then other times I wish it was brighter. Obviously, you know, here, have a listen.
Seems we can't move on without a fight.
I mean, that just feels like as soon as the harmony comes around it, I start thinking, oh, I wish it was just brighter. I wish it had a bit of grit on it even. There's a part of me, I'm on the fence about whether to grit it out a little bit. Let's have a listen to this first verse, for instance.
Sunny days and smiling faces.
Like, I like that. Sunny days, and it's...
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? Down the road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now.
Yeah, I'm digging that. I'm digging it. It's like on the verge. It could be a little brighter. Definitely needs... It doesn't... It's nice that it's dry, but I never do full dry. You know what I mean? I never go, to me, I want it to have a little bit of tiny short room. So I'm going to not just import all of our usual settings. I'm going to do subtle things because there's not a lot to do on this. So let's take an hour or so to do the small things so you can understand what my thinking is. So for me, it's like, this is good. But let's just do incremental stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is just bring in one. This is interesting. Do I want to go stereo? Do I want to go mono? Maybe what we'll do, let's do this. Let's do a mono small room. So before we do anything else, so we'll make the input, I don't know, 11. We'll go somewhere. And I'm just going to let's grab something generic so you all have it. Meaning, for me, it would be a D verb, which is like the free comes with the DAW, comes with Pro Tools. So whatever DAW you're in, you can just use this. So we'll call this verse verb because it's predominantly what it's going to be. I'm going to treat every section especially for what it is, and we're going to talk about why we're doing it each time. So first of all, let's go small here. Let's go room 1 and see what it defaults to. It's giving me half a second, 500 milliseconds. Let's just see what the default is doing. We'll come from the send on the individual channel here. And we're going mono. So we're going to have a mono verb just under the vocal. Let's pull it down and bring it in lightly.
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces.
Now, I like it. It's let's put the, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the send to the bus into pre-fade, meaning I'm now going to mute the vocals so we can just listen to what that reverb is doing. Let's have a listen.
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong?
Now, between the reverb and the vocal, there's a bit of a 6, 7, could be 450, 6, 7-ish of those areas build up. So we haven't, let me have a quick check before I start getting too excited. I don't know if he's uploaded it. Yes, they have. Now, we haven't done a review of this yet. So you're going to be the first person to see this. So I haven't even used this yet. So let's, wow.
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong?
This is just the stock Soothe. I haven't used it yet. This is just what happened when I opened it up.
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong?
So I'm assuming the way this is working, for those of you that haven't used this yet, because I haven't, is it looks like I'm selecting what, where it's most sensitive.
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces, isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces, isn't that where we belong?
I mean, it's really super evening it out. There's no two ways about it. What I've done there is I've boosted the ugly-ish kind of areas, the mid-range to the low mids. I can widen it just a little bit more here, which is all very interesting because the EQ going into it is a boost there. We can come up a little higher on our high pass.
Sunny days and smiling faces.
So it's got rid of some of that.
Sunny days and smiling faces.
But I'm wondering if it should be more just a low.
Sunny days and smiling faces, isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days.
It's definitely doing a little bit of what I wanted to do, and we're listening in solo, which is a little unfair because it really should matter what it's in the track. But this is part of teaching, isn't it? We've got to see it. So I'm now gonna,
sunny days and smiling faces, isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us.
So what I'm doing here is experimenting. Now that it's smoothed out some stuff, I'm brightening the vocal. And I'm doing super aggressive things here to see what it does. I'm not doing any subtlety.
Sunny days and smiling faces, isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces, isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces.
So it's interesting. It's very interesting. So now it's a lot more dramatic in the track. What I mean is, like, I can really hear what I do or don't want to do. I like the high mid boost here. I'm actually going to bring it up a little bit more, so it's just higher boost.
Sunny days and smiling faces.
And I'm going to even this up here. See, I went super dramatic to see what it would do, just cutting some of those low lows. So let's bring this all. You know what? We can probably turn that one off. Yep. And bring this up so it's a little bit more relaxed now.
Sunny days and smiling faces.
So the focus is still going to be on that that I don't like, but I'm going to relax everything. This is very typical of my learning process. I don't know about yours, where I will do something really dramatic to go, okay, that was a bit overdone. It's a bit like, driving around the racetrack really super slow and then far too fast and then and crashing all the time and then trying to figure out, what you learned from going around that corner slowly and getting the right racing line. I don't know if any of you have ever raced go-karts or anything, but you know what I mean. It's something you can do in a go-kart that you can't do in a real car around country roads, but you understand the analogy.
Sunny days and smiling faces, isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces, isn't that where we belong? singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces, isn't that where we belong? And down the road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces, where we belong.
Okay, so that's huge. The depth control is really going to help us.
Sunny days and smiling faces,
Yeah, now we're talking.
sunny days and smiling faces,
Now I can bounce out the drama.
sunny days and smiling faces, isn't that where we belong? And down the road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces, isn't that where we belong? And down the road only hope can take us.
Yeah, there's a point where I like it, and I'm just like, I sort of want to hear it, but I don't want to hear it at all. You know what I mean?
Sunny days and smiling faces, isn't that where we belong? 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 Isn't that where we belong?
Okay, in solo, I'm liking that. So what I'm doing, you saw my whole thought process there, and I'll explain to you. I've been messing around. I've been going extreme. I've been going back. I want to brighten it up, but I've now combined like getting the low, ugly MIDI area that was just kind of making it, making it sound, particularly if we go to this section out here, where it just starts to compress that area far too hard. You'll hear what I mean, and it starts to get really mid-rangey, but low mid-rangey. So that's where this is coming in. But then I've decided, and I've gone back to like where the de-essing was happening, and realizing if I get more aggressive on the de-essing, I can then use the high boost that I added to make the vocals seem area without all the all of that stuff getting excessive. So let's have a listen in solo, then in the track.
It seems we can't move on without a fight.
That's the note. It was getting like 700 hertz like crazy. Let's see what it's doing now. I'm glad my ears work. So when I said it was 700, it is 700. Have a listen. That. It moves between 670 and 734. So yeah, 700 is that. And look what it's doing now. Well, listen. But yeah, that's what we were hearing before we even put up this plugin, and it's really excessive. It's just that part of his vocal that's really powerful. The question is like, we don't want to use it too aggressively, because like when we were talking, I've talked about this many times, but I'll reiterate about going to Nashville and hearing Bohemian Rhapsody in 5/1 and being disappointed because they'd pulled out all of the 700 out of Freddie's voice. So instead of like, is this the real life? You know, that wah, it was like, is this the real life? Is this the Galileo? And it was, I was like, no, somebody overthought it, you know. So it's always that balance of like taking away something which is, you know, quote unquote annoying, or something that is inherent in why you love somebody's voice. So here it goes to pure 700, and we could have notched that out. But what's great about this is the device, this Soothe 2, is allowing us to, you know, just notch that piece when we need it. Quite a difference. So let's hear that in the track, see if we prefer it.
Seems we can't move on without a fight.
Now in bypass.
Seems we can't move on without a fight.
So it's really a case, quite frankly, of massive volume difference now because the 700 was so powerful and so much. So let's see if we can find a halfway house.
Seems we can't move on without a fight.
So backed it down and I'm bringing the depth down and it's here before and after. Here's a before.
Seems we can't move on without a fight.
Here's after.
Seems we can't move on without a fight. Singing now.
Okay, this is a great tool. This is a really, really great tool. And it's no BS. It's inside of the Academy. I've been hearing a lot about this, and it wasn't quite what I expected when I first opened it up. I thought it was going to be a little bit more idiot-proof for an idiot like me. It did take 15 minutes for us to kind of find a place where it's working. But now I'm happy because what happened is that extra mid-range was being sent to the mono verb, and it was just ugly. So let's hear it now.
It seems we can't move on without a fight. Singing now. It seems we can't move on without a fight.
Now on that seems, let's see what's going on.
It seems we can't move.
So it's a little bit here, so we're not catching it. So I'm going to grab over here and turn it back on and do a little bit more of a boost in that area. So that seems, see if we catch it. It's like a 7-8K kind of area.
It seems we can't move on without a fight.
And again, I liked, hopefully you're following me here, I like cutting this stuff and then boosting afterwards. And the logic for that is that you're creating a more even kind of cut and then you add the air back afterwards.
It seems we can't move on without a fight. Singing now. It seems we can't move.
So it's got the seams there. And now I think if that S was too loud, not necessarily blank, taking my head off, we would just automate it. We have no problem, and I will always talk about this. You can spend an hour trying to all the 500 different DSs and clever plugins. If an S is just too loud, turn it down. You know what I mean? Sometimes, when we're using combined, malted compression like we did on this serial compression, I mean, an S can be really loud because it just hits it.
It seems we can't.
But I like it, but it is loud. I mean, look at that. I mean, have a listen, obviously, but also look how loud it was printed. It was printed loud.
It seems we can't move on with.
It's not taking my head off, though. Now we've got rid of some of the really aggressive elements of it. All right, so now let's have a listen to the first verse and just get the volume right on the vocal.
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us. Singing songs of peace and love. Singing now. Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us. Singing songs of peace and love.
It's tough. It's on the verge, isn't it? It's like singing, singing, singing.
Singing songs of peace and love.
So let's get a little bit more aggressive.
Singing songs of peace and love.
Just want to see how much we can solve with the plugin, and then if not, we'll just start automating.
But only hope can take us. Singing songs of peace and love. Singing now.
Now remember, obviously we're doing this high-end boost here, so even though we're killing some of it, we might be overdoing it on the back end here. So I'm going to bring that down a little bit.
smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now.
It's pretty sweet. I mean, it's definitely, it's definitely bright. I'm hearing the S's, I'm hearing the place and peace and all that stuff, but it's not taking my head off. So it's a combination of being a little bit more aggressive on this plug-in here, on the Sooth 2, and then on the REQ here. Now, I think this is going to take the place, of multiple DSs that I use and EQs. It's going to be interesting. I mean, if we can start solving like issues like this in the box with one or two plugins, it's going to be a big deal for all of us. Okay, I haven't looked at the chat for a bit, so I'm not sure what everybody's been talking about. I'm sorry. Been too busy in my zone, man. Does that sound good? In my zone? Where is it? Where'd it go? I've lost it. Where did it go? I've lost it. Got too many windows open here on my computer, and I think I clicked on something to find it and was already on it and clicked on the wrong thing. User error. Too busy like listening and mixing to realize that, oh, here it is. Can be over DS cause of a lispy sound. Absolutely, Country T. Yeah, and that's happened to all of us. It's happened to me many times. Which mic was used here? Sounds very smooth. I think this was the U48. We did end up using an SM57 on quite a few of the songs. I'm going to start, with the Academy, because we've been so generous with multi-tracks to the whole world. I'm going to start releasing a lot more multi-tracks to the Academy. So I might give you a couple more songs from this album. We've got quite a few albums with them. I think we have 2 albums and an EP. So they're a very talented band. So I want you to hear a lot more stuff. Nita says I do a lot of where did that window go? Yeah, I've got too many open. And what happens, I reached over to click on thinking and I actually clicked off of it. So I guess it's worth it for how long it takes to mangle a vocal with EQ. Yeah, Henning is working a lot lately, fever and such things going around. Yeah, hopefully everybody's well. Let's take a moment. Are you all doing well? Are you all feeling okay? Have you been, has the... I don't even want to talk about it because we get blanked, but have you been safe and happy and healthy, quite frankly, Did you use a pop filter? Yeah, there was a pop filter on it. There was, I don't remember what pop filter it was. It's probably the one I still have, which you should probably clean, actually. Hey, Henning Opperman. Yeah, it was the U48. Everybody's good? Are you all doing well? What's that? What's with the closed caption on the video? I'm watching it and I don't see it, so it must be your settings. I'm also watching. What I'm doing here is I'm watching what you're watching, so I get to see if it's buffering. My computer here is, and the chat is open, so if I don't see a closed caption, then that's because there's nothing we've put up, is what I'm trying to say. Recovering, got it 4 weeks ago. Oh, Eric, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that's horrible. White Noise Town was a great one. Yes, it is. Studio friend of mine upstairs has it, but we're all fine. Oh, I'm sorry. Hopefully they're doing okay. It seems to be, yeah. Everything's fine. Oh, Paderborn. Ah, beautiful. I was talking about this the other day. It's how amazing that all of you live in just incredible countries all over the world, and we get to talk about it. Chaz said he hurt his back and shoulder, toughing it out, not going to hospital yet. I'll live. Working on setup folder tracks in Pro Tools, says Alex. Sounds like Team Eric is going to have some work prepping tracks for sharing. Oh yes, we'll put tons more stuff up. Okay, that was a good, nice break. So I'm going to listen to the intro, going into the vocal. Here we go. Just took a break. Now we can have a listen.
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? And down the road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now.
It's pretty nice. There's a couple of things. Let's just see if I can back up. I'm going to back the high-end boost off a little bit, just a bit more. Have one more listener. For the most part, I really like that. I'm bringing up the reverb just a little bit.
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? And down the road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now.
So before I do anything else, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to grab that and clip gain it down a little bit. Does it singing songs? You know, on the whole, I'm liking what's going on. And if there's just a couple of little things that are bothering me, I'm going to take care of them. So on clip gain, if you don't have clip gain in your DAW and you just want to turn it down, you know, you can automate the volume there. This is automation after all. And let's have a listen to that.
Singing songs of peace and love, singing now.
That to me works. I mean, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do, and detail work, you know, like that. It's just on the verge. I've got one other area I'm concerned about. Let's have a listen.
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? And down the road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now.
Going to bring it down even more. Not that it's much more, but a little bit more. Just a shade.
And down the road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Heavy hearts, they won't escape us.
Okay, I'm in automation mode, so I just heard this and I wanted it louder. So this is just the way my brain works. We're on the vocal, you know, and I know that, you know, we could sit here and work on the vocal for the next half an hour and make it perfect, which we will do. But my brain doesn't let things go, and if you listen there, I'm like, whoa, what happened there?
Heavy hearts, they won't escape us. We cross.
I'm like, why is that really great guitar? Like, you know, first of all, why is it up the center, Warren? So I'm going to put it away from the hi-hat, depending on how you pan the drums, and there's no right way or wrong way. I personally am not a very good drummer, so when I think of drums, I think of them as audience perspective. That's just me. So I'm going to pan it away from the hi-hat, and first of all, I'm just going to turn the whole thing up. Aha, there's some automation going on. Let's get rid of that. Oh, I see what happened.
We'll drop bombs all day and night.
Did a really cool thing there, but now what we need to do is put it over. So about 40-50%. Now let's have a listen.
Hearts, they won't escape us. We cross the line when it gets.
Okay. I'm going to, is there volume automation on it? Yes, there is. I think, so what you do in Pro Tools, I don't know about yours, is there's a volume trim, so you can keep the whole automation going. Here you go.
Hearts, they won't escape us. We cross the line when it gets blurred. Why can't we if God forgave us? A fight's a fire, we both feel burned. We'll drop bombs all day and night.
That feels like it should resolve back over to the right. We'll drop bombs all day and night. So I see what's happening here. So let's go and we'll do this. I like doing these things. They're fun. I'm going to exaggerate the movement a little bit more, so it's more noticeable that there's some stereo imagery going on with this guitar. And I'm going to have it resolve over this side. Let's have a listen. Get over that side a little quicker. Okay.
We'll drop bombs all day and night to show who's in the wrong.
It's nice. Might be a little loud because I brought the whole thing up a bit. So let's just bring it down just a gnats. Okay, let's try that.
We cross the line when it gets blurred. Why can't we, if God forgave us? A fight's a fire, we both feel burned. We'll drop bombs all day and night to show who's in the wrong and who's in the right. Who's in the wrong and who's in the right? We'll drop bombs all day and night.
Oh, I like the extreme on the pan, personally. I think it's really cool. But, you know, on your mix, you don't have to do it that way.
A fight's a fire, we both feel burned. We'll drop bombs all day and night to show who's in the wrong and who's in the right. Who's in the wrong and who's in the right. Empty looks on empty faces, with something stolen from my soul.
Cool. So now I'm feeling like, well, there's a few automation things to be done. So let's go back to the top and concentrate on this intro, re-intro guitar. Now, that has all the delay printed on it like we talked about before. I think a little mono thing underneath it could really help it out. Because we have the stereo here, which we did Bob's thing. You know, we used Bob's domain, which is amazing. Put the lead guitar in. Thanks, Victor. The guitar tones were a combination of my Marshall, my old Marshall, my JM, my 900. Nobody likes 900s except people that own them. Does that sound obvious? I love the way a 900 sounds. To me, it's like the perfect combination between a classic Marshall and an 800. I was never, when 800s were new, nobody I knew liked them. And then everybody said they were the sound of the 80s. But I remember in the 80s, all the guitar players that were making rock records were using 70s amps. You know what I mean? You think of classic 80s guitar sound. I mean, could there be anybody bigger and better than Van Halen? You know, that's all Steve Lukather. But they, you know, that's all the JMP. So You know, so when you think of like classic Marshall tones, I actually don't think 800s. It's strange that they became as popular as they did. Not that they're bad, but they're just got a lot of high end. They don't have the body. And I found the 900 is really good. So that's probably the 900. We did do, but we also had a Pro Junior that we used a lot as well. And I may have had access to an AC15 at the time, which is one of my favorite amps ever. It's interesting. It's not quite out as in front as I thought it would be. Let's do something a little bit more esoteric for the heck of it. So I'm going to get our good friend Klanghelm, sound helmet for those of you that, or sound hat, depending how you want to look at it. For those of you that know your German.
Sunny days and smiling face. 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 Sunny days and smiling face.
So that probably, this is very Bob Clearmountain of us, that probably on its own is really ugly and mid-rangey and bright, but it's working in the track. There's a part of me that now when I record, I would do all these fancy things and use all these different amps and have some fun, but I also would print a DI. And I'm actually thinking, oh, I wish I had a DI, because a DI could have given me that really solid individual tone. But, you know, with the right kind of compression and aggression, mixed in with sort of, you know, the aggression of that mid-range there, I think it's working now. Let's have a listen to it in the track.
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? And down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. cross the line when it gets blurred? Why can't we if God forgave us?
Good question there from Beat Poet Music. I think that the new REQ stuff sounds exactly the same, which is great for me because I've always found it very transparent. So the Renaissance EQs, the REQs, to me, I love this. This is the Academy. No BS whatsoever. They're my generic plugin. They're what I use in every instance when I don't want to color the sound. I trust them. I think the Oxford EQs are like that, and I think that for newer people coming up, they've gravitated towards the Fab Filter to do the same thing. Thing is, I'm used to the REQ, and I think honestly, all they've done is add that graphical imagery here on the GUI, the GUI, so that for those of you that are still learning, and like we identified in the vocal 700. We heard it, and then we put an EQ on, and you could visually see it was 700. But our ears heard that. For those people up and coming, and what's great for me when I'm teaching, I say I can hear 700, and then I illustrate it by showing it, and then your ear is training as well. You're going, oh, wow, Warren heard 700, and we can see 700, so there it is. So I think that basically it's the same amazing sounding plugin, which basically means exactly means that it's completely transparent, except they've added the increased functionality that the Fab Filter had. So for me, it's good for either people coming in that are new and they want Waves plugins and want the functionality of other manufacturers, but it's good for the old timers like me who've had when did I buy Waves? 24 years ago. I bought the first Platinum bundle 24 years ago. We've still got the plugins that we know and love and know how to use, but we've got that additional functionality. And, it's important, when you're moving between 80 and 85 hertz and you're trying to pull out like a little tiny frequency. I like seeing the visual aspect. It gives me some affirmation, but honestly, I don't necessarily always need it because I haven't needed it up until a couple of months ago. 24 years of using the plugins, and the first time, oh wow, this is a new function. Anyway, the long story is, yes, it's pretty cool. They sound transparent, and it's nice that they have that extra. Can you also use the old GUI? I don't know. Can you select the old one? I think I'm just going to keep the new one because I want to help people coming up. I don't want to be that guy, who's like, oh, back in my day, it was better. I don't want to be that guy. I want to use whatever's the modern stuff. And Soothe, that we were just using has come up in every person I respect's conversation. So that's why we reached out to them and said, send us a copy of Soothe so we can try it out. You know what I mean? Here we go.
Heavy hearts, they won't escape us. We cross the line when it gets blurred.
Yeah, I agree, Magnus. I've opened up the Fab Filter stuff, and there's definitely a lot of bells and whistles. Unfortunately, I think with all of the additional stuff, it can really cloud what people are using it, because I'm not sure I'm hearing any better mixes because of it. And what I'm getting is a lot of those discussions, like when we're listening to mixes and everything's been widened and MS'd and this, that, and the other. And then you talk to major, mixers, and they're like, we don't do that. You know what I mean? We're not widening everything and MSing it, and and it's this is the only instance, the Soothe 2, of any kind of multi-band or dynamic EQ on the whole mix. It's amazing. Up until just 5 years ago, the best mixers in the world never used multi-bands or dynamic EQs, but now they're de rigueur. Everybody has to have them. We just have to be careful that there's lots of really amazing products, and they're all amazing. Soothe is amazing, but I'm not going to put it on every instrument. I like Gullfoss. I love Leapwing. We've used Leapwing on this in one instance, on that guitar sound for the stereo, and we're using the Soothe on the vocal. But everything else sounds big and fat and wide without the need of all of these incredible tools and stuff like that. What tends to happen when we use these incredible tools, for the sake of using them, is flat, dull, lifeless, loud, in-your-face mixes that just... In the face is wrong, because nothing is grabbing you. Everything just sounds really, really flat and has no depth. I did a I did a conference call with a school the other day, and that was the question that came up. They're like going, well, we listen to your mixes, even if it's not our genre, and your mixes sound wider than stuff that we're doing, and it has more depth. And I'm like, well, are you using widening plugins? They're like, yeah, we're using widening plugins to make it sound wider. And I was like, try not using widening plugins, because as soon as you put it on everything, it's a phase disaster. They were like, have 5 or 6 widening plugins each song, and then they're saying it's not sounding wide enough. And I'll say, I can go 10 mixes without ever using a widening plugin. And when I do use one, it's because I've got like a mono synth, or I've got some kind of pad that just is taking up too much area in the center, and it might be one element inside of a mix. But yeah, so sometimes you understand my philosophy and what we're talking about. And honestly, it's just, I'm not unique. I'm just backing it up with, all of the mixers that, that we interview and know. It's great that these tools exist, but remember, they are, like Rupert Neve said, EQ is correctional. I'm not a Luddite. I'm not a gear sluts kind of like, oh, you have to use. I'm not. I love new stuff, and I'm open to new stuff. But remember, the new stuff has to be used, used for a reason, not just as a standard that everything has to be, everything has to be perfectly dynamically EQ'd, multi-banded, and whatever. Anyway, that's the end of that little discussion. Let's go back to the mix. Again, it's nice. I took a 2-minute break there. Yay! Thanks for the question.
Sunny days and smiling faces. Isn't that where we belong? Down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. The heavy hearts, they won't escape us. We cross the line when gets blurred. Why can't we, if God forgave us? A fight's a fire, we both feel burned. We'll drop bombs all day and night to show who's in the wrong and who's in the right. Who's in the wrong and who's in the right? Empty looks on empty faces, with something stolen from my soul, seeking gold in foreign places, never failed to sup its store. Once again we raise our voices, give us what we're looking for. The world's a product of our choices. Will we choose to stop this war? We'll drop bombs all day and night to show who's in the wrong and who's in the right. Who's in the wrong and
Cool. So it's really close. It's amazing that I haven't wanted to add any more vocal effects. So this is interesting because this vocal outro here is really just an overlap on that lead vocal, and it's only on that one thing. So I'm very tempted. A couple of things we could do. I could just copy this down. So I'm copying all the effects down here for the lead. So let's have a listen to see what that does. Also, another thing that's been interesting about this is I haven't wanted to like go in and automate kick and snare and push the snare in the choruses and stuff like that, because it seems to balance really nicely. Part of the beauty of this song being tracked live in a room, obviously guitar overdubs were done. I think we probably fixed the bass up. We did vocal overdubs, but the essential basic tracking, two electric guitars, the bass and the drums, and a scratch vocal all cut in one room, so that everybody's playing off each other. There's a natural sense of dynamics that was worked out in pre-production that's been maintained. So it has made the mixing process, at least for me, a little easier, because I'm not like building like, oh, chorus comes in, it has to get 2 dB louder here, this needs to come down, that needs more reverb. I haven't felt the need to do that. The only thing at the moment that's bothering me, or I want to work on, is these vocals here, and try to find a place that they make sense to me. They're really good parts, but they seem to sort of dominate when they come in. So I'm just going to solo this, for instance.
We'll drop bombs all day and night. We'll drop bombs all day and night.
I'm very tempted to just screw them up a bit, mess them up a bit. What should we do? Let's grab an REQ just for the heck of it. And just wipe bottom and top off. So, I don't know, we're coming about 400 or 500 on this one. Let's just solo this for a second. We'll put it in the center so you can hear it.
We'll drop bombs all day and night.
Okay, it's a little... I don't really want to soften it too much at the moment. I feel like if I add some harmonic distortion of some degree on this, I think that will solve some of the issues. I might go down, just grab a Sans amp. This again is free with my DAW. Whatever saturator you have is the equivalent.
We'll drop bombs all day and night. We'll drop bombs all day and night. We'll drop bombs all day.
Yeah, the mid-range gets a little... It gets nuts there, doesn't it? Turn the level down a little bit.
We'll drop bombs all day and night. 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 We'll drop bombs all...
Don't like that either. Okay, so yeah, this is interesting because, you know, all of my talk about not smoothing everything out, making everything perfect, I actually think this is the perfect case for that. It seems like we may have gone handheld 57 on this or something. It definitely has a little bit of a going on it, which I do not like. And so our friend Soothe that we just discovered might be perfect for this.
We'll drop bombs all day and night. 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 We'll drop bombs.
So I might be trying to solve something here which is easier to solve with a more complicated thing. First thing to do, really, I mean, I know it's the mid that's going here. You like my impersonation? Let's firstly just grab an aggressive compressor. So, what could we say that would be aggressive that would do the job? I mean, if I go for an R-comp, a Renaissance compressor, that's pretty straightforward. It's more transparent. Let's see what it...
We'll drop bombs all day and night. We'll drop bombs all day and night.
Actually, that's solving the problem pretty...
We'll drop bombs all day and night.
That just dumbly solved the problem for me. So now what I can do, now that everything's a bit more even, I can grab another, we'll go back to the REQ. It's purely and simply, because it's generic, does the job.
We'll drop bombs all day and night. We'll drop bombs all day and night. We'll drop bombs all day and night.
So sometimes you can go fancy, expensive, and then just do a compression and EQ and it solves the problem. Here we go with the vocal.
We'll drop bombs all day and night. We'll drop bombs all day and night. We'll drop bombs all day.
So I'm going to copy this over, go a little wider around it.
We'll drop bombs all day and night. We'll drop bombs all day and night. We'll drop bombs all day and night. We'll drop bombs all day and night.
I'm going to copy. See, I could put this as a group, but I'm not. But, you know, it depends on your CPU usage. You could obviously group all of these backgrounds, which got 4 together, and do it like that.
We'll drop bombs all day and night. 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 We'll drop bombs all day and night.
Okay, and now I'm going to do the same. Like I said, if you're not if you're worried about CPU usage, you can group these things together. I'll keep it individual for the time because it's not that many channels. You know, we could have grouped this all to a stereo if we wanted and just applied that across a stereo bus quite easily. But sometimes the way you work is the way you work. So don't beat yourself up if you find that after the fact, you're like, oh, I could have taken those 4 guitar parts and bust them to 1 because I ended up copying. That's just what happens. And I think Magnus was just making a point that sometimes, yes, you could go, oh, I could have solved that problem X, Y, and Z. All that matters is the end result. Quite often you'll do a mix that eventually sounds amazing and you realize that you could have solved a problem earlier on, but then undoing all of that will also create problems. So it is what it is. Sometimes I have, you know, like what have I got on the vocal here? 4 plugins on the vocal. Sometimes I have 14. I've had 14 on there, or 10, or 10 looks because there's 2 sets of 5. So 10 as opposed to 4. And people say, well, why didn't you just do that cut? And I'm like, well, because I'm mixing and I wanted to add an extra cut to the vocal. And I didn't want to do it before compression earlier, because if I did that, it would affect how the compressor is working, which would affect the next thing in the chain. There's not that idea that, you know, you hear it perfectly and you want the EQ done perfectly right at the beginning, then a compressor, or vice versa, and off you go. No, each one of these things affects the next. So if I boost going into a compressor, boost an EQ, what's the first thing that's going to be compressed? The EQ move, but that gives it a sound. Now, if I cut going into a compressor, EQ cut into a compressor, again, it will affect how the compressor works. It won't be compressing, say, the low end that I just cut. But if I didn't cut that low end and compressed it first, then the excessive low end will will compress the whole signal. You see where I'm going? So you can't retroactively, sometimes you have to cut yourself a break and be like, you don't want to retroactively do that because you'll change the whole relationship of your mix. So, that's why sometimes you open up a mix and you've done it with 50 plugins, and sometimes you open up a mix and you've done it with 150 plugins. And it's very easy for, the experts to say they would have done it differently. But you know what? I've sat in a room with every mixer you can think of, and they do whatever they do to get a result. There is no like genius going, well, I only use. God, you go in a room with some guys and you look behind them and there's like 100 pieces of hardware all going like this. You know what I mean? That's all part of the chain. And that's okay. That's part of what they do. It's what creates their sound. But you look around and you see all the guys, all the guys with these massive racks of stuff. It's all going on. So for them to be like, well, there's too many plugins on the mix. It's like, go. You know what I mean? When you're not using 4 sets of compression on your vocal, all doing this, you can stop telling people that they're using too many plugins. It's a reality, I do think that sometimes when I'm given stuff to mix, the first thing I do is pull off all the plugins because people have tied themselves in knots. But then why would they be giving it to me? You understand what I mean? Why would somebody send you something to mix if they didn't think that you could do a better job? It's not our thing to be like, wagging our finger, telling off a kid who has sent one of you something to mix because they've got 12 plugins on everything. They wouldn't have sent it to you to mix. There's no superiority thing. They can't get it to sound good. So yes, sometimes you just pull off all the plugins and you start with something a bit more natural. I think that's what we're trying to do with this song in particular. There's a decent amount of plugins on here, definitely. But it's not like plugin central insanity, And we haven't done anything on the master bus yet, have we? Nope. We just got a meter, an L2 turned down to minus 1, so we don't. I don't know if I'm going to do anything on the master bus. Not in this session anyway. All right, I think we're pretty close. I've just got to decide. We could group these now, all these BVs, these other ones, and I think what I want to do is give them maybe like a dirty slap. You know what I mean? So what did we do? We brought those all out of 13, 14. So we'll go to this section here where everything's playing. Oops. Yeah. I think we're close to having something where we can come back and do like mix bus on its own. Do 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 do. Okay, so BVs. I'm going to call it 2 because there's another one. I don't remember what I called that, but for the sake of argument, so they're all being grouped together here. Let's have a listen. Oh yeah, we did a real Beatley thing on that. We'll drop bombs all day and night. Okay, so we can do some gentle schmental kind of compression over the whole thing. You've heard me say very often, I'll just throw up the good old-fashioned 1176 that comes free. It doesn't sound anything like an 1176, but it looks like one. We'll drop bombs all day and night. Go to the end. Okay, so that'll work for the time being. I'm actually going to put, no, we'll leave it like this, and I'm going to duplicate, we'll take a brand new one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a send from that. So now we're going to send from the bus, 15 and 16. So we've got an overall send of all of those, and we'll call this BVs to FX, and I'm going to pan the left to the right and the right to the left. Now I'm going to grab excuse me, I'm going to grab, should I go to multi-mono, and I'll grab like a tape delay. Echo Boy, did we get that sorted out yet, Eric? Sorry, Do you remember last week and the week before and the week before? We were like, hey, get the Echo Boy sorted out. We still haven't got it sorted out. Okay. I don't know why we don't have Echo Boy. We should have Echo Boy. I own it. I think I've bought it twice now. Okay, so let's go back to delays. And so we don't have any of my favorite, like Echo Boy or anything like that. I'm going to go for the H delay because it's easy to illustrate what to do. Okay. So now it's panned left and right. It's multi-mono. Why have I got it multi-mono? I've got it multi-mono because I want the left to go to the left side, go to the right side, and the right to go to the left side. If it's in mono, it means that I can take one of the delays and it just be on that side. So let's have a listen. Going to high and low pass it so it's a little bit more mid-rangey, not too many, because the thing about the high and low pass is we can get rid of the all of those delays going. We don't need those. Tiny bit of modulation. This gets quite quickly comes in here. In the track. Did I align those backgrounds? I mean, I may have done. Remember, we did this recording like over 3 weeks. I mean, this is like a proper recording. You know, we did like 4 days, 3 or 4 days of sitting down with acoustic guitars, and then we think I did 4 days. It was something like 7 or 8, maybe as much as 10 of pre-production total before we even started recording. At least a full week. I don't remember, honestly. But I do remember that we did a lot beforehand, sending MP3s, talking about stuff. Then we got the band, then we got the acoustic guitar and vocal work with the singer. Then we worked with the band in a rehearsal room for at least 3 days, possibly 4. And then we recorded for a couple of weeks. So, I mean, it's about 3 weeks process. So doing the vocals, we would have done take after take after take to get it as correct as possible. I may have flown some stuff around, as quite likely, once I liked it, although those do look different. So maybe I didn't fly around. But, you know, yes, if something wasn't quite right, I would have aligned it. But I don't just go, oh, we got 10 minutes, let's do all the backgrounds, you know, align it and copy and paste it. I'd much rather spend an hour or two getting really great backgrounds. And then if I do have to fix it up a little bit, of course, you know, we've always done that. There's been different tricks through the years. But, yeah. You know, some of it I think is tight and some of it I think is not tight at all. I mean, like, look at that.
Who's in the wrong, yeah? Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong, yeah?
I mean, that's definitely not vocal aligned. I mean, if it is, it isn't done very well. It just seems like a natural performance. So I think 90% of it, I wouldn't say 99, 90% of it is performance, and there may have been, you know, 5-10% of fixing.
Who's in the wrong, yeah? Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong, yeah? Who's in the
It's interesting. There's things that are just wrong that I like the tom at the end. Zip, boom, boom. It's like far too loud. And I'm thinking, I like it. I like it. It sounds like a live band, you know. Again, no samples are being hurt in the process of mixing this song. We're doing it all from there. So I'm going to listen to one more time down from the top. I haven't done anything to the master bus. I don't think I'm going to until I get fresh ears, because I want fresh ears to do that, because it's almost like mastering and I don't want to think that way. Yeah, I'm just going to listen from the top and see if anything jumps out at me one last time.
Sunny days and smiling faces. down a road only hope can take us, singing songs of peace and love, singing now. Heavy hearts, they won't escape us. We cross the line when it gets blurred. Why can't we, if God forgave us? A fight's a fire, we both feel burned. We'll drop bombs all day and night to show who's in the wrong and who's in the right. Who's in the wrong and who's in the right. Empty looks on empty faces, with something stolen from my soul, seeking gold in foreign places, never failed to sup its store. Once again we raise our voices, give us what we're looking for. The world's a product of our choices. Will we choose to stop this war? We'll drop bombs all day and night to show who's in the wrong and who's in the right. Who's in the wrong and who's in the right. We'll drop bombs all day and night until the other one's down and out of sight. It seems we can't move on without a fight. Singing now, who's in the wrong, yeah, who's in the right? Who's in the wrong, yeah, who's in the right? Who's in the wrong, yeah, who's in the right? Who's in the wrong, yeah, who's in the right?
It's interesting, because people ask me all the time about gain inside of mixes, and I'm sure you've had the same questions, talking about balancing gain, making sure that you're not hitting your master bus too hard. And it's a tough question for me to answer because, when I start mixing in the box, I don't really have that issue. I think I'm so used to just like knowing where it should be. I went down, scrolled down the bottom thinking, oh, I wonder if I'm hitting any red lights, and I'm not. We're not ever, give the loudest part of the song. I mean, there's tons of headroom in there, so we're good. I really like it. I really, really like it. There's maybe a vocal effect. I might want to add a little bit more room on the end there. I'm not really sure. I might want to bring out a tiny bit of mid-range out of the reverb, but I don't know if I want to make that decision at the moment. We could maybe do a Q&A next week, and we'll pull this up with fresh ears and do a bit of mastering on it, a little bit of mixed bussing stuff on it. It's really, really great. I've been so fantastic to have you all here. Thanks for the impromptu one. It's been a good hour, 85 minutes, 90 minutes, hour and a half. I really, really appreciate everybody tuning in and chiming in and helping and doing all the things that you do, because that's what makes you such an amazing community. So please, 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 please download the tracks you haven't already, mix them, get them up, and let's talk more about it. This has been a really, really great song to work on. Eric and I were, scratching our heads last week going, what are we going to do for this month? We want to give it away for free to everybody on YouTube because we want lots of people to really, be helped. But then we realized this is the way to do it, to do the mix live inside of the Academy so people can see the thought process and the understanding. And yeah, it's been great. And so thank you, everybody who's been tuning into these. Have an amazing and very safe and very happy and very healthy time. Please let us know if you need anything. We're always here to help. Just stay safe. Speak to you all again very soon. Thank you ever so much for everything that you do in our community.